Well, Australia's walked into Lahore with the series sliding and a reshuffled side under pressure and a total that ended up looking a bit light. But then Nathan Ellis and a spin-heavy attack flipped the whole thing on its head. Pakistan 6 for 78. They tried to drag themselves back, but Australia held their nerve and levelled the series. Elsewhere, the cricket news cycle has gone absolutely mad. Melbourne's BBL teams could officially merge. Andrew Flintoff is officially heading to the Sydney Thunder, while the LPL and the ICC are tinkering with rules that might have people up in arms. We look ahead to England and New Zealand at Lords, Kane Williamson's final likely test at the home of cricket. And in the Caribbean, West Indies and Sri Lanka begin a white ball series that matters a lot more than the casual fan may realise. This is your Cricket Daily. Make sure, if you love your cricket, to hit like on the video, hit subscribe on the channel, and follow along as we keep you up to date throughout the cricket season that comes up and leads to the Australian summer. But let's get into it. Australia have beaten Pakistan by 41 runs in the second one-day international in Lahore. Australia made 231 for 9 from their 50 overs, and the series is now levelled up at 1-1. On paper, 231 certainly looked a little vulnerable. In those Lahore conditions with Pakistan at home, with Australia missing plenty of frontline names in their bowling attack, you looked at the total and thought that might just be 20 or 30 short. But this was a really mature win from Australia, not flashy, not dominant with the bat, but controlled, disciplined, and much sharper tactically than Game 1. And the biggest difference, Australia bowled like they understood the surface. Australia's batting effort was built around the three main contributions. Cameron Green and Josh Inglis both with half centuries. Green 53 off 92. Inglis, the captain, 51 off 74. Matt Renshaw made a runner ball 43, and youngster Ollie Peake gave them a handy late push, batting at 7 with 31 from 32. It wasn't a free-flowing innings. It was not Australia blasting Pakistan around Lahore. It was hard work. Alex Carey was gone first ball. Matt Short made just 15, and Marnus Labuschagne fell for 5. So again, Australia's top order gave Pakistan an early look, but Inglis and Green steadied it, and this is where you give Josh Inglis some credit. As a captain, as a batter, and as someone trying to hold together a depleted side, he gave Australia a platform. Green's innings was slow, but it mattered. On a surface where wickets in clusters were always possible, he absorbed the pressure and allowed for Australia to bat the full 50 overs. That was key, because in the first ODI, Australia got bowled out for 200, and Pakistan chased it down with 7 and a bit overs to spare. Here, Australia forced Pakistan to bat under scoreboard pressure. Not huge scoreboard pressure, but enough. And Renshaw's 43 was probably the innings that gave Australia a bit of shape late. He scored a runner ball, he pushed the tempo, and then Peake joined him to help drag that up to 231. Again, it wasn't spectacular, but it was enough to make Pakistan work. And then came the chase, and Australia basically won the game in the first 17 overs. They had Pakistan rattled, 6 for 78, and that was the match, certainly having Australia on top. Nathan Ellis struck first, Maz Sadakat gone for a duck, Babar Azam gone for 16. Arafat Minhas and Harris Rauf fell to him as well, and Ellis finished with 4 for 33 from 9 overs, a career-best performance for him in one-day internationals, and was exactly what Australia needed from the senior lead seamer in this attack. No Cummins, no Stark, no Hazelwood, so someone had to lead, and Nathan Ellis stepped up to the mark. In this kind of squad, he's not just a support act. He had to use those change-ups and control on a smart, slower ball and take the wickets. He's the leader of the attack, and he certainly bowled like it. But it wasn't just Ellis. Australia went spin-heavy. Matt Kuhnemann, Matt Short, Adam Zampa, and Tanveer Sangha bowled 31 of Australia's 44 overs. That is a headline tactical shift. Australia looked at what happened in Rawalpindi and looked at the surface in Lahore and basically said, right, if Pakistan can spin us out, we can squeeze them too. And Josh Inglis led them well. He kept spinning the game. He kept asking Pakistan to create the pace themselves. He made them force the issue. Matt Short was outstanding, 3 for 36 from 8 overs. That is serious value from a part-time or secondary spin option. He got Salman Agha, he got Abdul Samad, and he got Shaheen Sharafri, the Pakistan captain. That ripped out Pakistan's middle and lower order support. Zampa was then back and gave them control. Kuhnemann had taken the early wicket of Sabzada Farhan. Sangha got Ghazi Gori, who'd been the hero of Game 1. That is a full team bowling unit performance. Shadab Khan did fight, let's be fair. He made 71 off 104, and at 6 for 78, Pakistan could have folded for 120. Instead, he gave them a chance. He put on 59 with Arafat Minhas. He kept the innings alive. He tried to drag Pakistan deep and just give them a shot, give them a chance, but he ran out of partners. And that's the difference between fighting and winning. Pakistan's lower order got stuck. Harris Rauf faced 15 balls to make 0. Shaheen made 11. Minhas made 33, but once he fell, Australia were back in control. By the time Shadab was the last man out, the game was already away from them. So the series is alive. Australia win the second one by 41 runs, and for a depleted Aussie side, that's a really solid result. Not just because they won, because of how they won. They adapted, they defended a gettable total, they used spin aggressively, and captaincy was better. Nathan Ellis stood up as the leader of the attack. Pakistan will probably look at this and say they let the chase get away too early. At home, chasing 232, you can't be 6 for 78. It's just not good enough. Shadab made it respectable, but the damage was already done. So now we go to Thursday with the series on the line. Pakistan proved in game 1 they can demolish Australia with spin. Australia proved in game 2 they can defend, adapt, survive, and win ugly. It sets up a really interesting decider. We now move on to a quick whip around the news cycles. First up, the Melbourne Big Bash situation. Reports are suggesting the Melbourne Stars and Melbourne Renegades could be merged into one Melbourne franchise as part of a broader BBL shakeup. That's huge. And honestly, it's a kind of decision that makes sense in a boardroom but causes absolute chaos with fans. From a commercial angle, you understand the logic. One strong Melbourne team, one clear identity. But emotionally, that's a huge ask. You're essentially telling two fan bases that their history, colours, rivalries and identities can be folded into something new. The Melbourne Derby has been one of the BBL's biggest selling points. If you merge the teams, you might strengthen the business model, but you risk getting one of the few pieces of tribalism in the BBL and pulling it apart. This is one to watch very closely because the BBL does need fresh energy, but fresh energy cannot just be formed in a spreadsheet. It still has to feel like sport. Andrew Flintoff has been confirmed as the Sydney Thunder's new coach. Not exactly breaking news. It's been floating around for quite a while, but Flintoff does bring profile. He brings presence and he brings international credibility. The Thunder have had some brutal seasons in recent years. They've certainly got some talent with David Warner, Chris Green, Daniel Sams, Tanvir Sanger, and the like, but they've not always felt like a settled high-performance environment. Flintoff's job is just not tactics, it's identity. Can he make the Thunder feel like a club the players want to play for? Can he connect with a fan base? It's a big challenge. It's an exciting appointment. There is risk, of course. He's still relatively early in his coaching journey, but for a competition that needs stories, characters, and energy, Flintoff coming into the BBL is absolutely theatre. While we're on some different T20, the Lankan Premier League has been making certainly headlines with its rule and draft approaches. It had certain subcategories of some of its players in its draft where they required certain numbers of social media followers. After backlash, that was dropped because cricket already has enough problems without turning players into influencer metrics. Yes, modern leagues need marketability, but that was just rogue. So that's certainly a strange one. But they've come in, they're bringing the impact sub back into their cricket, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and a few other minor tweaks around it in the lead up to the competition. We'll wait and see how it goes. Obviously, this draft rule's gone, which is positive, but they seem to be tinkering quite a lot, and I start to feel that we start to undo the fabric of cricket. Speaking of undoing the fabric of cricket, the ICC has approved a trial around switching from red ball to pink ball in Test cricket to reduce the impact of bad light. The key point, both teams would have to agree to it before the match. This is not, as it's been reported in some circles and on other podcasts, something that's going to happen mid-match or mid-session because it's getting a little bit dark. It's designed to keep play going in situations where light is a known factor and threat. Overcast weather might be predicted for a significant period of a test. They can look at this, both teams can agree and say, right, the best chance we have under clouds, under lights, is to use a pink ball and maximise our playing time. In principle, I like the intent. Nobody likes losing overs to bad light. Fans hate it, broadcasters hate it, players probably hate the stop-start nature of it too. It's not simple. A pink ball is not just a red ball with different visibility. We know that it behaves differently. You can swing differently. So the idea is good, but the execution has to be careful. If it's agreed before the match, fine. So you don't want to see, as I said, you don't want to see it changing halfway through. Credit where credit's due. At least the ICC is trying something here. We need to be looking at something to overcome the bad light situation. We need to be looking at getting more cricket being played. Bad light's been one of Test cricket's most frustrating issues. If there's a way to preserve overs without compromising the contest, it is worth exploring. As I said, it has to be pre-test, can't be mid-test, and it seems like they've finally come to that conclusion. We now move on to looking ahead to some cricket, and we start with Lords, England versus New Zealand. This is a proper test series, 3 tests, Lords, the Oval, Nottingham, and there are storylines everywhere. England have named a 12-player squad for the first test, and there are fresh faces. Emilio Gay is in line to make his test debut. Sonny Baker could join him. Ollie Robinson is in line to play his first test in more than 2 years, while Shoaib Bashir is expected to come back into the side as the spin option. England are trying to restart after a difficult Ashes period, and this feels like a little reset point for them. Not a full rebuild, but a chance to reassert what Bazball looks like now. It's to play aggressively with better game sense, and that has always been the line. For England, the big question is the bowling mix. Do they go with the airspeed of Sonny Baker, or do they stick to the bowlers more suited to Lords? Movement, control, wobble seam, Duke's ball, discipline. With bad weather around, overhead conditions could matter. Lords can look flat 1 minute and then suddenly become a nightmare when the clouds roll in. That is when New Zealand will feel comfortable. They understand patience. They understand the grind. They will not be spooked if the game moves slowly for a session. So England need to get selection right. The second question is at the top of the order. Emilio Gay coming in is exciting, But Lords against New Zealand is not a soft launch. Matt Henry, Kyle Jamieson, Will O'Rourke, whoever New Zealand roll with, will ask proper questions. This is not a series where England can just assume they'll dictate under home conditions from day one. For New Zealand, it's a fascinating tour. They come off that comprehensive Island Test win, but England is a very different challenge. Tom Latham's side has depth, experience, and a real first-team identity. They're not always the flashiest team, but they are organised, adaptable, and seriously hard to beat when conditions suit them. Kane Williamson will be the emotional centre of the series. This could be his final test at Lords and series in England. When a player like Williamson gets one last walk through the long room, one last chance at the honours board, one last Lords test against England, that matters. He has not got a monster record at Lords, but he does have 100 there, and he remains one of the calmest, most technically gifted batters this side of the year 2000. It's a beautiful subplot. Williamson at Lords, England trying to reset, New Zealand chasing another major away series statement. My early read is this could be closer than some England fans expect. England are dangerous at home, but their batting can change, and their batting can change a test in a session. But New Zealand are built for this kind of cricket. If the ball moves, they're absolutely in the contest. If England overplay the aggression, New Zealand will mate for mistakes. If New Zealand's batting core of Latham, Conway, Williamson, Rachin Ravindra and Daryl Mitchell can get them into the middle, they can put real pressure back on England. The big thing for England will be tempo. Aggressive does not mean reckless. The big thing for New Zealand is first innings runs. You cannot spend a series in England chasing the game. At Lords, first morning matters, first innings matters, and if Williamson has more than one Lords moment in him, the series could start beautifully for the Black Caps. And then wrapping it up, West Indies versus Sri Lanka white ball series. This white ball series has more riding on it than people realise. This has World Cup qualification pressure attached. Sri Lanka are sitting in a stronger position in the ODI standings. West Indies are under real pressure around automatic qualification. And both sides know, especially of late, what it feels like to miss major tournaments. There's some heat here. The ODIs are at Sabina Park and the T20s will follow in Jamaica. And for both teams, this is identity about as much as results. Sri Lanka have handed the white ball captaincy to Kusal Mendes. It's a big move. Feels like a revolving door, the Sri Lanka captaincy at the moment. He's in good batting touch. He's experienced, but leadership has been a difficult space for Sri Lanka. You look at their pace stocks, Chamira, Madashanka, Malinga, Fernando, Madashan. There is pace there. There are options, and in Caribbean conditions that will matter. Sri Lanka's challenge will be the batting depth and consistency. Pathum Nissanka will be important, as will Kusal Mendes, and then the depth players will feel around them. They just need to give good totals to defend because they've got enough bowling to win games. For West Indies, Shai Hope will be key. He remains their most reliable one-day batter, a genuine run machine in this format, and as captain, he carries a huge responsibility. Not just score runs, but to give West Indies some structure. West Indies cricket is always exciting, but exciting is not always enough in one-dayers. A bit more innings building for one-dayers is what's required, a bit more clarity. It's where hope matters. The return of Shimron Hetmyer is also a big story. He's being reintegrated with an eye to the 2027 World Cup. And if the West Indies can get the best version of Hetmyer, powerful, mature and switched on, that changes their middle order. Throw in Alzari Joseph coming back from injury, Shamar Joseph, Jaden Seals, Gudakesh Modi, Matthew Ford and others, and West Indies have the tools. But can they put 50 overs with bat and ball together? That's the question. For me, this series comes down to three things. One, Shai Hope versus Sri Lanka's pace and spin mix. If Hope bats deep, West Indies can control games. Sri Lanka get him early, West Indies could become chaotic. Hasaranga's impact coming back in for Sri Lanka. If he returns sharp, he can dominate the middle overs, he can break partnerships, he can turn a 280 chase into a 220 collapse. And then three, the West Indies discipline. Not talent, discipline. Can they bowl 6 good balls often enough? Can they bat in phases? Can they bowl in partnerships? Can they avoid turning every innings into a highlight reel attempt? Because Sri Lanka are beatable, but they are skillful. And if West Indies gets loose, Sri Lanka will pick them apart. My early lean in the ODIs is Sri Lanka just, but without much convince. Mostly because I trust their bowling group and structure a little bit more. But if Hope and Hetmyer both fire, that completely changes the series. So Australia have levelled the ODI series in Pakistan, and Thursday now becomes a decider. The cricket news cycle is moving fast. This Melbourne BBL future piece will continue to evolve undoubtedly, with the first news breaking last night. Flintoff's heading to the Thunder. The LPL's had some rule rethinks. The ICC is trying to solve bad light. England and New Zealand are ready for Lords for the start of a 3-test series. And the West Indies versus Sri Lanka has World Cup implications all over it. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you hit like on the video, subscribe on the channel, and jump into the comments. Can Australia finish the job in Game 3? Should Melbourne become a one-team BBL city? What will happen to that other licence? And what should the team be called? And who takes out the first test at Lords? England's aggression or New Zealand's pressure? Plenty to play out. We'll see you again soon on another Cricket Daily. Thanks for tuning in to your home of the black and white of sports. No great opinions.